Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing as the Honorable Linda Jackson gives our invocation.
Almighty God, we acknowledge that you will hold us to account for the way we legislate and administer the affairs of our township and its fine people. We pray for your guidance as we do so. We pray that you will find us protecting the rights of all at all times, that our community and this nation will fulfill all of your purposes. Amen.
Amen. Clerk Sanders, please take the roll.
Clerk Sanders here. Trustee Jackson.
Here.
Treasurer Kavanaugh. Here. Trustee Taylor. Absent. Trustee King.
Here.
Trustee Reese.
Here.
Supervisor McCracken.
Here. Quorum is present. Next is approval of the agenda.
To the chair,
Trustee Jackson,
I move that we approve the agenda as written.
Support.
supported by Treasurer Kavanaugh. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have some citizen comments. We're going to start with Darlene Gomes. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man, I'm happy.
Hello.
Name and address for the record, please. I'm sorry.
My name is Darlene Gomes. I have been a Redford Township citizen for 25 years since I was first married. I am here to just bring to your attention something that you may not be aware of. But with the new community center going in, it is directly across from my house. I live on Ross Drive. However, that path to get from Ross Drive to Graham along Beach is a sidewalk that is extremely treacherous. And I know that when the community center goes in, there may be more traffic, people walking. And I know that we want our community to be a walkable, enjoyable community. And so I wanted to bring that to your attention. It's walkable, but a sidewalk, I think, is a real generous term for the path that's right there. I know that part of it is probably owned by the golf course, and it may be a community golf course issue, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention, and hopefully we can proactively address something before it becomes a true problem. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Darlene.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next, Jen Mansfield.
Good evening, Honorable Board. I am here today to just remind you about National Night Out and invite each and every one of you there. It is Saturday, August 16th, from 12 until 2 p.m. over at the community center, not the new wellness center, but the actual current community center. And you may ask, what is National Night Out? That is a large community event where we like to bring out all types of township and community organizations. School groups, kids groups, church groups. You're going to see the police out there. Interim Chief Mays now knows you're going to see fire out there. But we always have all kinds of fun things out there. It's a great time to come on out, meet your neighbors, interact with some of your officers, your firefighters, and learn about some of the great opportunities that are available to each and every one of us here in Redford Township. Secondly, as you can tell, Supervisor, I am also here to talk about Citizens Academy. Lieutenant Piquel has got another one up and running. We've been trying to accommodate the different requests for different days. So this time we are going to try for Thursday evenings. So Thursday evenings, beginning September 4th, we will be running Citizens Academy at the police department from 7 p.m. until give or take 9 p.m., depending on what the topic is. And we are going to do some stuff which may be not the most exciting. You know, we'll talk about policies and recruitment, but then we get to do fun stuff. We're going to go through a homicide trial. We're going to do evidence collection. We get you in front of the courts so you can see what's up. And a special treat this year, you guys will, whoever gets to come on out, is going to meet our new canine, because we will have the dog during that time frame. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Keep an eye on the website, because we're going to get those applications up there as soon as I edit them with the correct date. So hopefully tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Sam Fox.
Good evening, Honorable Board. I'm reporting from the Leisure Services Office. I just wanted to share some of the programs and events we've been doing this summer and things we have upcoming. We have been busy this summer. Our summer concert series is on Tuesday nights. It's been quite popular. We have a variety of music that you can listen to. Tonight, the band Zang is performing. They are a new band for us. They cover a mix of pop, rock, and country. National Parks and Recreation Month has been extremely exciting for us, which is in July. Through partnerships with local organizations and sponsorships, we have been able to host free events in our parks. We have another one tomorrow, an intergenerational ice cream social at Handy Park from 1 to 3 p.m., where you can come and build your own sundae. And then our new senior lunch and learn series, which is every third Monday of the month. This is a low-cost series that also provides a catered lunch for attendees. The next lunch and learn is August 18th with Trinity Health, and they will be covering diabetes prevention. Some of our upcoming events and programs that we're excited for, the Cruising to the Beach car show on August 10th. This is at the Redford Marquee and runs alongside of the Farmers Market on Sunday. Our senior picnic and expo on August 13th at Handy Park. The afternoon will be filled with food, drinks, games, and an opportunity to meet and greet various senior businesses and organizations. This event is completely free for seniors 55 years of age or better. And then our last movie at the Marquee this summer will be showing Moana 2 on August 15th, starting at dusk. And then we're also super excited, our new pickleball courts are done, and we're going to be hosting fall leagues. That's all I have for you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brianne Harris.
Hi, how are you guys?
There's name and address, please.
I'm sorry.
Name and address.
Brianne Harris, 18876 Seminole. I hate to be the dark cloud after all the sunshine we just heard, but it has to be said. I live at 7 Mile and Easter, right next door to the Little Caesars. I've been in my home for, it'll be 8 years, November 1st. It was the first house I bought, was in Redford. My kids go to school in Redford. This is the only community home they know, all their friends are here. This place has been nothing less than a nuisance. Yesterday, there were whole pizzas strewn around the dumpster. It's hot outside, and the alley, right when you turn on Seminole off 7 Mile, is just overgrown. That is a setup for rats. My son, who's 11, plays outside in the backyard. I have a garden back there. The last thing I want is to go back there to pick zucchini and a rat runs across my foot. Or my son gets bitten playing. I work overnight. We know vermin comes out at night. I don't want to see anything in my driveway or my porch. My neighbor was on the news, my former neighbor, a couple years ago, because the rats were dragging the pizza, burrowing holes in his yard, and pulling the pizza down like it was getting takeout for his family. He complained, nothing was done, he got attitude. I got highly upset when I saw my garage on the news because I had no idea this was going on. And it's gotta stop. I'm at a point now where I just want that whole plaza gone and just green space, that alley cut and paved. There was a shooting there. And like I said, I got kids. There are other children on that block. I moved over there because it was safe, it was quiet. I don't want to leave Redford. I love living here. My family is here. My sisters live on the same block that I do. I don't want to up and buy a new house because I'm uncomfortable because I might see a rat when I'm going to my car, or some idiot might be on a criminal rampage because their pizza was cold. I just want it gone. I'm frustrated. I'm tired. You can only cut your grass so low to keep the rats out. So I don't know what you guys can do, but something's got to be done. Other neighbors I talked to online have said this has been going on for years. And the previous owner in the home I lived in now even voiced concern about this place, with dough being left out, pizzas being left out, and nobody cleaned it up. And I think the only reason an employee cleaned it up when I saw it in the hot sun on Monday, because I was staring at it and him as he was by the dumpster. So it's,
Okay, Ms. Harris,
oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, that's okay. No, you know what, and usually, this is a very serious thing for you. I like to let people get the last bit out.
Thank you.
Because you've been holding it up for what's going on. So, but thank you. Department heads here, for everybody that they're hearing what's going on, so they'll respond, because this is a listening exercise for the board to hear what you have to say without interrupting.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I went over time.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you. Next, we have a special presentation from MERS Regional Manager, Jamie LaFavor. Ms. LaFavor, you are up.
Hi, Board. Hello. Good to see you tonight. You're used to seeing Sue Feinberg. She was the former regional manager. She's retired. So I've stepped in for her. A little bit of background on myself. I've been with MERS for about 10 years, so not completely new. But my understanding is we just take a little bit of time each year and go through your new numbers that are published. So everyone should have a copy in front of you. And these are the numbers as of 12/31/2024. A little bit of background on that. So that's a snapshot of your defined benefit plan as of that date. It does project forward your rates 2 years, so it will give you your budget materials and rates for 2026. So the first few pages we can skip through. That is information from our certifying actuary, GRS. If you jump to page 6, that's where the data that you're going to be most interested in starts. You can see in the executive summary that your funded ratio is at 58%. That stayed the same from 2023, so no changes there. MERS did just complete an experience study. We do that every 5 years to make sure that the actuarial assumptions that we're using are in line with the actual experience of the plan. And we saw no major changes as a result of that study. And so you're seeing your funded ratio remaining the same. And so stop me if you have any questions. On the next page, page 7, that's where we're going to give you your required township contributions for the plan. The first table here gives you comparative numbers from your 2025 rates starting in April to your 2026 rates for next April. You are seeing an increase of about $150,000. And then below that, you have your employee contribution rates. So that's for each of your defined benefit divisions, what your employees are paying in. There was no change in those numbers from 23 to 24. The next page, page 8, that gives you some more information. So the first set of information I like to stop at, if you are interested in knowing what the cost would be to fund your plan in 10 years, as opposed to around a 15-year amortization, we give you those numbers. So it would be a monthly cost of $326,000 instead of the $258,000. Little bit of background, why do these rates change year to year? Most of you may be familiar with actuarial numbers, but those can change if we see changes in benefits, the actuarial assumptions changing, or the actual experience of the plan. With that being said, I already mentioned our experience study, we had no major changes. We did stay at the assumed rate of return of 6.93%, and that carried over from 2023 as well. Moving on to the next page, page 9. There is a comment here about the dedicated gains policy. I know we touched a little bit on that last year when we were here, but what that is in the years where we have an up market, the board will look at our policy in place and decide if we should buy down that assumed rate of return. We did have an actual rate of return of 7.28% for 2024, which was above our assumed. However, it was not high enough to buy that rate down in enough basis points, and GRS feels that the 6.93 is responsible since state assumptions are at 7. The next note there on that same page is the local retirement grant. As you know, Redford Township was a participant in that program, and you received about $2.2 million from the state. That is still in your surplus division. And then the only other piece with that experience study that I talked about to mention is the asset smoothing. So that fluctuation in your contributions, the biggest piece of that is that smoothing. So we take the recognized return or loss in each year and smooth it over the next 5 years. So although I mentioned we had a return of 7.28% for 2024, the recognized smooth rate of return was 3.79% for this year. And that is largely due to still smoothing out those losses from 2022, where we had a negative 10. Any questions on that? Okay. Moving on to the next page, page 10, we give you alternate scenarios. And so that is for groups that just want to budget more conservatively or think 6.93% is really not what we want to pay based off of. That's the minimum that by law we bill you. But actually flip to page 11. You can see we also give you those numbers at 4.93, 5.93, and then your 6.93%. Carrying on that same idea, we also give you those numbers in projections. So on page 12, we give you the projected funded level of the plan and estimated employer contributions. 6.93%, again, is the numbers we want to follow. When I mentioned that asset smoothing and that smoothing in that loss of 2022, you can see that with the valuation year ending in 2027, so your rates for 2029, you do see that funded level start to go back up. And that's because those losses will be fully recognized. So where you're projected to go down to 50%, you'll start seeing the plan go up 52, 53, and so on. Flipping the page, page 13. Again, we give you those same numbers, but we project it out a little bit. So your funded percentage, that's going to be in that first graph here. We are projecting that the township should be at 100% funded about 2038. I like to point out that dotted blue line, that is taking your surplus assets into account. That solid blue line is without those surplus assets. Below that, same information, but just an employer contribution. So you are projected to climb to a little over 5 million before you hit that 100% funded. And at that point, you see that cost drop off, and you would just be billed the normal cost, which is the cost to grant another year of service without any unfunded. And those numbers with the employer contribution do not look at your surplus assets. Because we don't use those when we figure the rates. Next page is page 14. That is table 1. So that's that same information that we've already looked at for those computed employer contributions. But it's broken down by the normal cost, which is again the cost to grant another year of service, the employee contribution rate, what the township's responsibility of that normal cost is, the unfunded, and then your total contribution. Moving along, page 16. That is table 2, so that's where we're just going to show you your benefits in place for each of your divisions. I didn't see any changes from 23. The next table is page 20. That is your participant summary, so that looks at the individuals in each of your divisions. That table carries on to page 21. But the summary of the table is you have 3 less actives than you did in 2023, gained 7 retirees, and then you have 9 additional pending refunds. And what pending refunds are is those are employees that have left employment with the township before becoming vested. So we're assuming unless they go work somewhere else to become vested in the plan, that they'll probably take a refund of their employee contributions. Any questions on any of that?
Jamie, to the chair, sorry.
Treasurer Kavanaugh.
I just a quick question about the pending refunds. How come there's no amounts listed with any of them?
Dollar amount?
Yeah,
You know, I don't know why. There is later on in the report, and I'll point it out.
Okay.
But for whatever reason, GRS did not put it on this table.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Jamie, I also was wondering about the pending refunds. Because if somebody leaves here and goes to a different municipality, they can still continue on with MERS.
They can.
So if the pending refund would come when they become 60, I mean, because they can go back to work and get back in the program at any time, right?
Yes, so when someone terms employment,
Yep.
we send them a letter and we say, we see you've termed employment with Redford Township. Here are your options. You can keep your money, where it is, especially if you're going to work somewhere else, you can take a refund. An employee has, so they can take action at that time. If they take a refund, they forfeit that service.
Okay.
But if they think maybe I'm going to go work somewhere else, they leave it there, they have 20 years to become reemployed with another MERS municipality.
Okay.
Then after 12 months of service with that new municipality, the time coordinates.
Okay, got it.
I think, Mr. Supervisor, too, that actually, I think that's why the pending refunds are 0, because they don't have any impact on our valuation. They don't include it in the numbers one way or the other. But if the person then went to another employer and gained more time, they would move that amount into the vested former.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But it doesn't have any impact, so they don't want to show it changing things.
Right, okay.
Yeah, you are correct. They don't hold liability, but they are assets that could leave the plan.
Okay.
Yep. Table 4, we don't have to spend a whole lot of time there. That is just the market value of the plan. Table 5 on page 23. This is your flow of valuation assets. So the bottom page, year 2024, you had about $3 million coming into the plan from employer and employee contributions, and you had about $4.4 million coming out for your benefit payments to your existing retirees. Page 24 starts table 6, and that is going to show us the breakdown of the liability and assets by employee division. The bottom line there is your surplus unassociated. You can see the balance in that as of 12/31/24. And then that total line under unfunded accrued liability, if you did want to know the amount to bring the plan to 100% funded, that would be that amount.
So if I may, just we have a couple new board members here, that surplus division, they hold that separate from the calculations, and they calculate out our required payment, assuming there's nothing in that surplus, which is good for us. That's a choice we chose to make, because as long as then we can continue to make the payment without that surplus, we're going to get to full funding faster. That's why on that earlier graph, if we didn't have the surplus, we'd get to full funding in 2041, but with the surplus in there, it's projecting at 2038.
Yeah.
And so hopefully that will continue to move up. And that surplus division really just started in the last few years.
In 2023.
Yeah, so just within the last couple of years that's all kind of started. So you can see it's already having a positive impact on when we should get to full funding.
Wonderful.
And a note on that, I know Sue mentioned it last year, if the township is ever in a situation where they need budget relief, if we moved those assets into the actual divisions, that would reduce your payment. But it's absolutely correct, the best practice is to keep it in there because it bumps up your funded level. And then because we don't look at those assets when calculating your payment, more assets come into the plan, you're being funded quicker. Yep. Page 26 starts table 7. This is historical information. So it's going to give you the funded level, the liability and assets, historical information. That same information carries through on the next few pages in tables 8 and 9, just broken out again by your employee divisions. And that takes us all the way to page 38. And actually, I'll stop a minute on page 37, just to reiterate the surplus asset. You can see this is the table for the surplus division. So there's no liabilities, it's just the assets coming in. And it's cumulative, but you can see that in 2023, that's where that 3.2 million came in from the grant funds, and it's remained in there. The next page, page 38, is table 10. That is the amortization schedule. So you can see, as I mentioned earlier, you are on a 15-year amortization. That is for all of your divisions. In 2015, MERS moved from a rolling amortization to a fixed. We started at 23 years, and you've been declining by 1 year each year since then. And that will continue to decline. You'll see the line items from 15 all the way down to 24. That is the experience of the plan each year. And that table 10, again, is broken out by division for a few pages until we get to page 48. That is your GASB information. Page 50 starts your benefit provision history, so that's all plan changes that have been made in each of your divisions since you started the plan with MERS, looks like in 1962. That carries on a few pages as well. Page 55, I want to stop at. This is the increase in final average compensation assumption that we have built in. So what this is, it looks at the final average compensation is what we use to calculate your retirement benefit. And it's what we assume that final average compensation will increase by once payouts are made upon retirement. So you'll see for your divisions 1, 11, and 14, we account for a possible 960 hours of sick time being added. So you'll see that corresponding 15.38%. And then the loads are assigned appropriately based off of what's in the divisions. After that page, we can go to the last page of the report, 58, and that is the information that you will need to fill out Form 5572 for your state reporting. And that's all I have prepared in the report. Are there any questions?
I think it's a lot of information,
It is.
especially for board members that haven't seen it before, and even for those of us that have seen it. It's a lot of information.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate it. Do we have questions from the board? No?
Okay. Let me know if you ever want to take a deeper dive, especially if there's newer board members. We're happy to come back out and do board workshops where we can really dig into the information and you can ask some questions. But I thank you all for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Nice to meet you as well.
You too.
Okay, next is the consent agenda items. Treasurer Kavanaugh.
Thank you Supervisor McCray. I move to approve the consent agenda items as follows. The minutes of the regular meeting of July 8th of 2025. The warrant list of bills as of July 16th of 2025 in the amount of $1,450,008.09. The annual MERS conference being held on October 16th through the 17th of 2025 at the Grand Traverse Resort Hotel. Selected employee delegate Gerard Pryor with no alternate this year. Reappointment of John Buck to the Redford Township Downtown Development Authority, term expiring 7/31 of 2029. Resignation of John Kuba from the Redford Township Police and Fire Pension and the Redford Township Brownfield Redevelopment Authority.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to new business, Director Bonner.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This evening, we have with us our bond counsel, Pat McGow, from Miller Canfield, who's going to speak to you about the bond ordinance number 369. That is the next step in the dwarf project that has dominated your last several agendas.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. I know you have been discussing this, so this is kind of a final step in the financing for the water project. As you may recall, this is the project the city started last year when you applied for funding assistance through the state's Drinking Water Revolving Fund. You qualified for the low-interest loan program of 2% and also grant funds. So when I was here in May, the board adopted a notice of intent resolution, not knowing where the projects were going to come in, and we bumped it up with a buffer of not to exceed $22.3 million. The good news is that when the bids came in June, they were significantly lower than expected. So that is nice news. I know you know that and talked about that at the July meeting, unlike last year when we had the opposite experience on the sewer project. So the good news is and we just got the final numbers from the state at the end of last week, and I just saw them yesterday. The ordinance before you says it's not to exceed $13 million. The total project cost is around $12.3 million, and then there's a 20% grant. So the actual bond itself is going to be lowered because it's a grant down to roughly $9,844,000. That's not going to be in the ordinance tonight. What's before you tonight is not to exceed $13 million because that was the total number. But now that we know the grant, when the state finalizes the loan and the grant portions, which will happen in another couple weeks, that's where the numbers are going to end up. So the documents that you will sign for the closing will be at those lowered amounts based upon the final approved numbers from the state. So this is good news. This is a 2% loan on the amount of the loan, and that can be repaid over 20 or 30 years at 2%. In talking with Adam and looking at the numbers, that decision has been made, but a 30-year is still also at 2%. So that will certainly have a lower annual payment. And given the fact that you've got a lot of other debt right now that's being paid from rates and charges, we're able to defer the start of the principal on this until 2028. So that impact of that debt isn't going to hit right away other than just paying interest on that. So what you have before you tonight is the bond ordinance, which authorizes the revenue bonds to be issued in an amount not to exceed $13 million. It's actually going to be quite less than that based on the bids. It authorizes various township officials to sign the necessary documents. That includes supervisor, clerk, as well as Adam, and whatever your title is now. Director of something.
It fluctuates, yeah.
And the expectation is that when the numbers are finalized next week, the Eagle will issue an order in early August, and the closing for this is August 28th, and you'll be able to start receiving funds from that after that August 28th date. So with that, I'll stop talking and answer any questions that you may have related to this ordinance.
Well, I just want to, because of what the situation we have with water bill, all these projects that are going on that we have no control over that we must do, I think that it would be a better idea for us to go for 30 years, pay a little more interest maybe, but it spreads it out. It's not a big impact on our residents.
Right.
I believe that is the
That's the
direction.
plan.
Okay.
Yes.
And so I want to make sure that that's what the plan is.
Yes.
Okay. Questions from the board? Hearing none, you must have did a great job, you know? So what's the pleasure of the board?
The chair,
Trustee Reese.
I move adoption of the attached bond ordinance, ordinance number 369, as part of the DWSRF project.
Support.
Supported by Clerk Sanders. Then the motion is the adoption of the attached bond ordinance, ordinance number 369, as part of the DWSRF project. Is there any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Trustee Reese?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Clerk Sanders, yes. Trustee Taylor? Absent. Treasurer Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Trustee Jackson?
Yes.
Supervisor McCray?
Yes, motion carries. Director Byron.
For number 2?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
Director Dennis. I got carried away. I put too many circles.
I wasn't sure if it was that or Interim Chief May.
Yeah.
We're all here, so.
I think Chief.
Mr. Supervisor?
So before we start, I'm going to give Interim Chief Mays an opportunity to say hello to the people of Redford Township.
Good evening, Honorable Board. My name is Chris Mays, recently appointed the interim fire chief of the department. Been with the department for about 18 and a half years, started in 2007. I've had some interaction over the years with many board members. Other ones I'm hoping to meet after tonight. Looking forward to serve you. My door is open. If you have any questions, concerns, please come to me.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Director Dennis.
I'm here just assisting interim chief Mays. Well, the only reason I was working with former chief, Demoff on this project, and when there was the transition, since I was involved, I stepped up to try to help out Chris. So at this point, we are doing a project, the township is, for miscellaneous interior renovations at the South Fire Station. We've been working on this for some time, and we put together a bid package. It went out to bid. We actually extended it by about 10 days. There were a few questions that there are from some contractors. We had 4 contractors that did conduct a bid walkthrough in June. We extended the bid from June 30th to July 10th, and we received 2 bids back from the extension. Out of the 2 bids, the lowest, most approved bidder was Qualified Construction Corporation from Novi in the in the amount $309,767,000. They will be working on some different items there. They're going to be doing a large kitchen update, new flooring throughout the whole barracks quarters, taking the wallpaper off the walls and painting, new windows and doors on the exterior. So they're getting a lot of work done over in the South Fire Station. They've already done a few different things over the last couple years with concrete roof and some LED lighting inside. So we're asking the board tonight to please approve the bid from Qualified Construction Corporation, amount of $309,767. And to clarify, this amount will be allocated from Fund 402, which is the Capital Improvement Fund. I just wrote the other one.
Director Dennis, I guess I have a question for you and the interim chief is, when this is approved and you spend the money, is the South End Fire Station going to be completely renovated, or is there more work to be done?
There's definitely more work to be done. This is just the interior portion, does not include our apparatus bay. So the interior portion, our sleeping quarters, kitchen, everything when you go through the bay doors into the interior of the station, it's those areas, minus the bathrooms. So there's definitely more work that needs to be done on the station in the future.
Okay. And do we have an idea, once this is approved, when we're going to start the project?
We would be hopefully starting this project in the next 30 to 60 days. We'll have to order windows and then, all the products, have a pre-con meeting probably sometime next week with Chief Mays, myself, and the contractor, and then I can hand it off to them to start doing all their work.
Okay. Questions from the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Reese.
I'm curious, the South Fire Department, how long has it been since it was renovated or built in the first place, assuming there haven't been renovations?
It was opened in 2000, if I'm not mistaken. 99, yeah, Southwood 99. So and they've done a few things, but again, we did the back concrete was done in 2018, the front was done in 2023, the roof was done in 22. They've done some HVAC improvements, and this is another part of it. They can always, new doors, bay doors, or get a little aged, probably some bathroom updates, down the road. But this is what was the priority at this time.
And then you talked about there are additional phases in the future, obviously not a part of this. Just help me understand what those would be.
One of the big ones is in our apparatus bay, the concrete floor. Obviously, being from 1999 and salt and the weight of our trucks over the years, that's degraded. So we'll have to look at replacing that floor for sure. Like Director Dennis said, probably our bay doors as well. That'll be a large expense, but we've been limping by repairing parts here and there over the last several years, and then it's just cost prohibitive at this time to keep replacing parts here and there. So we'll be looking at new doors as well. Those are the big ones at this point.
Okay, and the apparatus bay is where the trucks are held. That's the main bay. Is that
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Other questions from the board? Hearing none, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair,
Trustee Jackson.
I move approval of the bid recommendation, RTFD, South Fire Station Interior Renovations Project, be awarded to Qualified Construction Corporation, Novi, Michigan, 48374, in the amount of $309,767 to be paid from Fund 402 Capital Improvements.
Support.
Support by Trustee Reese. The motion is for the approval of bid recommendation, RTFD, South Fire Station Interior Renovation Project, be awarded to Qualified Construction Corporation, Novi, Michigan, 48374, in the amount of $309,767 to be paid from the 402 capital improvements. Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Jackson?
Yes.
Trustee Reese?
Yes.
Clerk Sanders, yes. Treasurer Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor? Absent. Supervisor McCray?
Yes, motion passes. Director Dennis.
Thank you, Director Dennis.
All right, Mr. Supervisor, in front of you is a recommendation for acceptance for a grant agreement between the Michigan Economic Development Corporation and Redford Township. About 6 weeks ago or so ago, I met with the board. We approved some quotes from Wade Trim concerning the planning grants that we had received prior. That was the steps, the first steps. Everything went to the state, and then the state then does a grant agreement between ourselves and themselves, and this is through the Michigan Strategic Fund, which is still part of their organization. This is it's very similar to the ones that you signed 2 weeks ago regarding the grant agreements for the Michigan Enhancement Grants for the work that we were going to be doing. But this is just a grant agreement. This is for the capital improvement and asset management plan only. And this, again, is to implement a capital improvement and asset management plan. This is in the amount of $285,000, and there is no required matching funds. Everything was submitted in 2024 to the state. We've been working through the process with their staff, and we have finally reached the point where we can fully execute a grant agreement for this activity. And I'm looking for the board approval to accept this grant agreement to sign and the grant in amount of $285,000.
Questions from the board?
So Chair,
Trustee Jackson?
Director Dennis, the entire $285,000 is just for planning only.
It's to implement a new capital improvement asset management plan for the entire township. That's just for this activity, yes. It'll take 12 to 18 months to do the work. There'll be workshops, all kinds of different interaction. I didn't bring everything with me, and I apologize. I just brought well, I do have some stuff here. But yes, it is. It's one part of it. It's $100,000 to asset management plan. $185,000 of it was for the 6-year improvement plan to do all the work for both of those items. And we had sent them up to the state for them to agree and sign off, and they did. And we're at that for the $285,000.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions from the board? Hearing none, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair,
Trustee King?
I move approval and acceptance of the Michigan Strategic Fund Planning Grant as provided by Michigan Economic Development Corporation in the amount of $285,000 that will provide funding assistance to develop and implement a capital improvement and asset management plan.
Support.
Supported by Treasurer Kavanaugh. So the motion is for approval and acceptance of the Michigan Strategic Fund, MSF, planning grant as provided by the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, MEDC, in the amount of $285,000 that will provide funding assistance to develop and implement a capital improvement and asset management plan. Questions from the board? Roll call vote.
Trustee Taylor, absent. Trustee Reese.
Yes.
Trustee Jackson.
Yes.
Trustee King.
Yes.
Clerk Sanders, yes. Treasurer Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Supervisor McCray.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Director Dennis.
The next part of this is going through the same program. This is to do a zoning ordinance update. Back also a few months ago, I also came to the board asking for approval for the planning zoning ordinance update 152N. This is the amount of $135,000. This was cheaper. The state has gone through, approved all of the RFPs, the granting agreements, milestones, et cetera. And there is no requiring matching funds needed as well. Again, it was the same process. They both were approved, or both went through at the same time, and the board approved the contract already. This is again just asking for the request for acceptance of the grant agreement for the zoning ordinance update in an amount of $135,000.
Questions from the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Reese.
Director Dennis, kind of tangential, so if you don't have an answer, it's okay. I know we've had a couple citizen comments related to this that were kind of ordinances in general, and what does it mean as we're updating them. I'm curious, as part of this cost and this process, is there a component that's taking in some of those pieces of feedback, or is there kind of a clear list we already have of we're working through these ordinances to modernize and standardize them?
We are going to be first and foremost looking at the recent master plan.
Okay.
That is our first goal, is to take everything that we spent so long working on and putting those changes we made into as many as we can into the zoning ordinance. Have we been listening? Yes. There are certain things that are a little bit outdated that need to be revised. We always listen. Obviously, if we have, there's obviously certain things that you only have limits to. But our intention, there are going to be public workshops. This will be pursued, obviously, through the Planning Commission, and then once there a final copy is then recommended by the Planning Commission, it would then go in front of the board for final review and potential approval.
Fantastic, thank you.
You got it.
Any other discussion? What's the pleasure of the board?
To the chair.
Treasurer Kavanaugh.
I move for approval and acceptance of the Michigan Strategic Fund Planning Grant as provided by the Michigan Economic Development Corporation in the amount of $135,000 that will provide funding assistance to complete a review update of the Redford Township zoning ordinance 152N with a focus on bringing the ordinance into alignment with the recently adopted RE Vision Master Plan and Resilience Best Practice.
Support?
Support by trustee Reese. So motion is for the approval and acceptance of the Michigan Strategic Fund MSF Planning Grant as provided by the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, MEDC, in the amount of $135,000 that will provide funding assistance to complete a review and/or update of the Redford Township zoning ordinance 152 with a focus on bringing the ordinance into alignment with the recently adopted Re-Envision Master Plan and Resilience Best Practice. Any other questions?
To the chair.
Trustee Jackson.
This is assistance. Is the total cost going to be $135,000?
Yes.
Or will there be some additional cost?
Nope, that is the
It's the
amount, is
full amount.
$135,000.
Thank you.
Did I have something different on there?
No, it just says funding assistance.
Oh,
I
it
didn't
just-
notice that until he read
Assisting
it
us
out loud.
with the, with the money. So, yeah.
Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor? Absent. Trustee Jackson?
Yes.
Clerk Sanders? Yes. Trustee Reese?
Yes?
Treasurer Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Supervisor McCray?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you all. Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Reese, you want to do the last one?
Sure.
Okay.
Now I'm going blank on how we do that. Do I have him come forward, or what's the best thing?
Well, get him come up forward.
Next on the agenda, we're looking at the approval of Richard Louisenot to the Redford Township Beautification Commission. So I'd love to ask Rick, you to come forward and share with us. I know you sent a letter of intent. I would love to hear from you directly so that residents can hear your heart.
Thank you. Honorable Board. My name is Richard Louisenot, 18356 Lexington, Redford. We've been here for 39 years. I'm already part of the Parks Commission, and my wife has been part of the Beautification Commission for a while, and I have been assisting her, and so she says, "Oh, why don't you just join?" So,
Make it official.
so I'm making it official.
Wonderful.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
awesome.
You make the motion?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Any questions for the board for Rick, or no? Okay, great. I don't know how far you want me to go here.
Yeah, let's make the motion now.
Okay, to the chair.
Trustee Reese.
I move approval of Richard Louisenot to the Redford Township Beautification Commission, term expiring 7/31/2026.
Support.
Supported by Clerk Sanders. Motion is for approval of Richard Louisenot. I killed it again. Sorry about that. To the Redford Township Beautification Commission, term expiring 7/31/26. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Announcements from the board.
Thank you.
To the chair.
Treasurer Kavanaugh.
I just want to say that it saddens me that Mr. John Kuba is resigning from some of these organizations, but we understand that he's a busy man. But I'm sad that he's stepping back. But he's a good person, was our finance director prior to Adam. And although we do see him on a regular basis, but it's just sad that he's stepping back. So I want to thank him for the time he did give us. So that's it.
Any other announcements from the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Reese.
I just wanted to add an additional endorsement of the new pickleball courts. I'm no avid pickleball player, but I've decided I'm gonna get into it because they're so beautiful. So we bought our set of 4 paddles, and my wife and son and I went earlier in the week, and my son, who's 15 months old, doesn't understand what's going on, but he loves it, loves to derail any actual game that's going on. So just want to encourage residents, go check it out at Handy Park. It's beautiful, and it's a great resource. I know a lot of people I've talked to in the community have said other communities have courts, but they're always booked out, they're always full of people. So I think it's great to have something so close to home.
Other announcements from the board? Okay, again, I want to also thank John Kuba for decades of work here in the township, and he will be missed, and hopefully he enjoys his retirement. Also, we have a ordinance officer, Mike Williams, who is also retiring after 2 decades of working here in the township. And then leisure services, pickleball courts. I just want to read this. There's a couple things. It says, this came from Director Stokes. Just wanted to share a shout out from M Parks, our statewide group for Parks and Recreation, giving a recognition to the Redbird Leisure Services for their activities for the National Parks and Rec Month. So that's one. So we're getting recognized. The other is, we're talking about pickleball courts. Also, our new pickleball courts were featured on CBS News with a gentleman that has been utilizing them and is competing, and he was named one of Humanen's 10 game changers. He loves the course and has been promoting them. So we got things that are going very, very well here in the township. And last but not least, everybody has a birthday every year, and sometimes it falls on board nights. So this is Mike Dennis's birthday. So I have volunteered Adam to tonight to lead us in a happy birthday. And Mike, why don't you come and stand up? Come on. Mike, come on. You're holding this up. We all want to go home. Please go up to the mic up here. You don't have to
name and address at the mic, right?
You can't talk any.
Yes.
It's not an opportunity to talk.
Well, no talking, just listen.
No monologuing.
Okay.
All right.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mike. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, that's a good way to end this meeting. There's nothing else to come before the board. This meeting is adjourned. Mike turned a nice red. Yes.